Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Nerdy Boys Reviews. I'm Christian.
I'm Scott.
And this is Nerdy Boys Reviews. This is our 16th episode. We're going to be talking about Arrow, episode 3, called Quarter Maltese.
So, in this episode of Arrow, basically, John Diggle, Oliver Queen, and Roy Harper all go to Quarter Maltese in efforts to get Thea Queen back. Basically, they spend the whole episode just, trying to convince her to come back. Also, in this episode, you see John Diggle basically get assigned from his wife, girlfriend, whatever. I mean, I'm not even sure what to call it.
Ex-wife.
Yeah, I mean, it's
baby mama.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. But Lila, she basically asked him to go check up on Operative from Argus. Yep. Yeah. So, that's a little side mission, kind of side note that happened in this episode. So, basically, Oliver's attempts to, get Thea to come back to Star City was pretty much thwarted. You can just tell, she didn't trust him, didn't really want to come back with him. Same thing with Roy. He kind of just tries to ambush her too at work, and, she still just turns him down. It wasn't even until Oliver, came clean about what happened with her father, and, he's still hiding a lot of stuff from her. But it was after that he told her some truth that she's like, okay, I need to go back home now. Right,
yeah. You also see her getting trained up by Malcolm Merlin. He has to put aside the fact that he is her dad and train her as if she's his student. And then you also have Felicity's story going on, working for Ray Palmer back at Queen Consolidated, and things like that. So, essentially, the climax of the episode is when Diggle and Oliver and Roy go to stop the arms trade and everything. So, Mark Shaw was selling out pretty much members of Argus to get out of Argus.
Yeah, exactly. And John Diggle, he pretty much freaked out because what Mark Shaw was selling to these arms dealers were, a list of names and like their family and children and everything. And when he was like looking through their binoculars to see, what was exactly on these files, he seen Lila,
Yeah.
And he pretty much freaked out and was like, he pretty much told Oliver and Roy, we need to jump into action now and get this now. Shut it down, basically.
Right, yeah. So, it seems like, I don't know what I was going to say there, so.
So, in this episode also, you see a little bit, you mentioned a little bit before, Ray Palmer and Felicity, but, you see basically Ray Palmer say, hey, this is corrupted data, we need you to find it, and he basically alludes that it's, just like business information, but
right.
At the end of the episode we find out very differently. He basically tricked her.
Yeah.
So
what I was going to say is also Amanda Waller is the leader of Argus in the show, and she's the one driving Marshall out pretty much, because he doesn't want to be in it because of her. I also tweeted, I was like, yeah, she's a bitch.
Nobody likes
her. A
her.
lot of people agree, so it's kind of like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place when you're involved with her. Is there anything else you want to talk about with overview, or do you want to go into Easter eggs?
Nah, we can go into Easter eggs. So in this episode, I just mentioned the whole trickery with Ray Palmer. was, when you see what he uncovers, those are the OMACs.
Yeah, I flipped out when I saw that. I was like, whoa! Oh! Because if you guys don't know what OMACs are, read Future's End. That's really all I have to say. They're pretty much robots that are produced by Cadmus, which is like evil science people, and they use OMACs to capture Earth 2 heroes and things like that, and prevent people from leaving Cadmus Island and things. So they're pretty scary robots.
Yeah. Oh, we also kind of forgot to mention, just like in our overview, is you have Laurel trying to play vigilante in this episode.
She gets her butt kicked.
Yeah, she got pretty. She's kind of kicking the guy's ass at first, and then all of a sudden he starts swinging backs and pretty much whoops her ass.
Yeah. She eventually asks Oliver to train her because we all know she's gonna become Black Canary, but Oliver turns her down, so she goes to Wildcat or Tom or whatever you want to call him, but his name is Wildcat, and he trains her up. And who else does he train in the comic books?
I can't really think right
Trains Batman in Hand to Hand, and he trained Black Canary in Hand to Hand, and a lot of other people. He's an honorary member of the Justice Society of America.
Yep. So there was also, Mark Shaw himself, just the name was Easter egg,
Yeah, he was Manhunter in the comic books.
Yep.
Many people have that name, but he was one of them who worked for Checkmate, which is essentially Argus in this show.
Yep, and then you have Jerry Conway, which was Felicity Smoke's assistant.
Yeah, he's like bringing her coffee and stuff. Jerry Conway created Felicity Smoke. He also created these two characters, Firestorm, Killer Frost, who you'll see in Flash.
So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, and look at it's real. The whole thing's gonna be really interesting. So I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like our grades of the show, I think basically Arrow is continuing what they've done so far all this season. Still putting on a great show. I still give it A-.
Like he was saying with the Omax thing with Ray Palmer tricking Felicity. If you compare that to what Gotham did, it's essentially building up for something. But this show gets you really invested in everything. Like, you want to see what's happening. Like, it's exciting. It's action-packed. Gotham's a little slow. A little bit of, you don't really know what's going on sometimes. You don't always want to see the payoffs. But this show, you're like, oh, what's on that disc? Like, what's this? And then at the end, you see it. And it's kind of like a Harrison Wells thing from The Flash. So it's really interesting. One last Easter egg. They called her Mia. Thea. They called her Mia.
Okay.
And that alludes to Mia Dearden. In the comic books, that's Speedy 2, Red Arrow 2, whatever you want to call her. And it's like the adopted daughter of Oliver Queen. So that's kind of like a little Easter egg. Like, eventually she'll become one of his sidekicks.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you had to give the show a grade, what would be?
The show, I give an A. I give this episode an A+. This episode was great. There was nothing really I could think of that was wrong with it. I don't know. Arrow just knocks it out of the park every week for me. They finally caught on. They have a groove. Everything's working for them. And I think they're going to continue to do a great job.
Yeah, the show always leaves a little cliffhanger, what's going to happen with this, what's going to happen with that. You're just so excited to see what's going to happen next week,
Right.
So, that's all I think we really have for the Arrow episode.
Yeah. So, I'm Christian.
I'm Scott.
And this is Nerdy Boys Reviews. Stay nerdy, boys!